Dear friends, today we are right before Shabbat, where we're going to read the Torah portion of Shalach. We're actually on our 73rd installment of our inspiration series. We hope not to go through too many more of these numbers. We can continue to inspire, but not while still in some form or another of quarantine. And this week's portion has a very powerful message, many actually, but I want to focus on one, and especially during this pandemic, to help inspire us in what we can do to overcome and to become better, stronger, smarter, more connected to each other, to Hashem. So the portion ends with the reading, which we do twice a day, as the third paragraph of the Shema prayer, talking about the Jewish people leaving Egypt, but mostly talking about the mitzvah of tzitzis, the mitzvah of wearing the tzitzit. This is a mitzvah incumbent on men, that they have to wear a four-cornered garment. They don't actually have to, but if they wear a four-cornered garment, you have to put on each one of the corners fringes, tzitzis. Really, this mitzvah is about wearing a talit. You'll see in the synagogue a talit, which is supposed to cover a big part of our body. Unfortunately, the scarf ones are not really passable. It has to cover our body at least till our waist, in the front and in the back. But we don't wear a talit all day long, only when we pray. So we wear what we call a talit katan, a small talit that is underneath our shirt, which has the four fringes which come out and hang from them, and many people wear it hanging out of their clothing so you can see it. What is the idea of the tzitzit? You have a garment, then you have fringes. What is the meaning of the fringes? And we read it every day because it plays a very important role. Tzitzit is not just one of the 613 commandments, but we're told that tzitzit, especially in its original form, where one of the fringes on each side was blue, which blue reminds you of the color of the sky, and the color of the sky reminds you that God is in heaven, that the tzitzis reminds us of our general commitment to God, to follow His commandments, to think about God, to surround ourselves with His commandments like the talit surrounds our body. So it plays a role about inspiring us, motivating us to do all the commandments. But what's fringes? What does fringes do? What is a few strings coming out of a big piece of clothing? The clothing we hide, that's not what we pay attention to. What we pay attention to? The fringes. But it's minute compared to the clothing where it's hanging from, dangling from. Even the word fringe means fringe. Fringe benefits, fringes. Why do they play such an important role? And in here we see an incredible lesson. That you can have a beautiful piece of clothing, four-cornered garment. When you wear above your shirt, like we do by prayer. But to us, what's interesting is what develops from it. You have a beautiful garment, but if it ends in its corners and it doesn't develop any further, it doesn't create anything more, then it's missing the most important element. God put us here in this world with a special power. Angels in heaven, the most spiritual beings, cannot create. But in this world, we are able to create. We procreate, we bring children, life into the world. But we're creating facts all the time by our actions. When we're active, we can create. Through doing a mitzvah, through doing something positive, we create something positive. And God forbid we do something wrong, we create something in the negative. We have the ability to create. And everything we do has to be driven towards what we say in our language, the bottom line. What is the outcome of it all? We can philosophize, we can talk about many great subjects, but the question always is, so what? So now that you have made a decision that something is right or wrong, therefore, That's what counts most. The fringes is the therefore. If therefore I'm going to behave differently, I'm going to do it different, I'm going to eat differently, I'm going to behave to the people around me in a different way, I'm going to do something different for God, I'm going to do something more for my fellow people. This is the fringes. Tzitzit is a mitzvah and plays such an important role because that is what Judaism is all about. Can you create some fringes? To create a fringe, you need a movement. You need a whole philosophy, emotions. You need to be invested. But just being invested, but there's no outcome. Imagine you have incredible knowledge, but no one around you knows that you have knowledge. No one has ever benefited from that knowledge. What a waste of knowledge. What a waste of leadership qualities. What a waste of feelings if you can't share it and you can't inspire anyone else. Create the fringes. On each corner, from everywhere, there should be some kind of effect. You know, when someone lives a good life, when someone lives a life of doing what's right and just, when someone lives an observant Jewish life, when someone lives with Judaism at the core of who they are, on every corner you're affecting people. From your right, your left, behind, in front, they're always going to see and know that something's going on within inside of you, and in some way or another will inspire them. Create fringes. Make sure you have the fringes. It's not big compared to its source or where it's hanging from, but it's what makes its source in this world valuable. And every one of us can create fringes on all sides. So this is what we have to do. Create fringes. And you know, even if we're isolated and we're not meeting people in the same way, we still can affect other people. People see us when they talk to us over the phone, whether on Zoom, whether we're writing to them, just by the way they see you carry yourself in the street when you're taking your walk. Today people judge. How serious are people? Do they wear a mask? Don't they wear a mask? Do they wash their hands? Do they stand in a social distance? We're judging people right away and we say, oh, this is a serious person. I can take them seriously. But this is really what's happening all the time. Create fringes. And then you're tzitzit. Then you're like the color of the heaven. Because then we become godlike. When we create through our actions, we create results. That's what God does. Creates results. And this is the blessing that we have. So have a Shabbat Shalom. And let's continue to inspire each other and ourselves, but most importantly, others around us as well. May God bless you all. Candlelight time in Montreal this week is 8:28 p.m.